How's it going, everyone? Josh with PAKRAX. Today we're going to be installing the PAKRAX rock sliders on my 2019 Tacoma TRD Off-Road. We'll be removing a previous pair and installing the PAKRAX sliders. So if you're looking at installing these yourselves, hopefully this installation video will help you out.
Hi, I'm Ben with Arizona Toy Pros, and we do a lot of installs of PAKRAX products like sliders and a lot of the armor that you see. Today we're going to do an install video on the PAKRAX sliders on a Tacoma. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm an off-roadaholic, and I like to install fancy things like PAKRAX and PAKRAX accessories. Making and discarding of these frame rail covers because PAKRAX has got a bar that holds the nut up there and comes in there. Don't really need them. They're just kind of added weight. So we remove those, and then we remove the computer from the other side. Out the two bolts, and just let that hang for now. A
little bit of dust.
A little bit of dust. Cool. And are we going with angles or straights on? Yeah, so these were angled, so that's why we're switching them out, right? Just to go with more of a straight design.
Straight look, a little cleaner line.
Less kick out.
Less aggressive.
Let's go down the side of the frame, and for install purposes, smells like a good time.
Yeah. Usually it is.
Yeah. And these have been on here for just about what, 3, almost 4? So on the PAKRAX install, you don't have to remove all these harnesses like you do on the other trucks.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the computer is normally here. It's on the back side. That couldn't fit on that last set of sliders, where the PAKRAX sliders allow you to put this computer back in its factory location. But you still have to remove it for the install of the PAKRAX. You want to ensure this brake line here, you don't have to unclip any of this, I just take it, you can slightly bend these lines up.
Okay.
Just so when you have bolts come through, you don't have rubbing on bolts on brake lines.
That's fair.
And then check your other holes that you mount. We'll see that if you have to, you can flex them open so that you don't have any rubbing on brake lines with bolts that go through.
Okay.
You want the sliders unpackaged?
Yes, we're going to unpackage some sliders, lay out some hardware. You can remove this for easier access through here, but I'm able to work around not taking that, but you can do that to give yourself a little more hand access in there.
Okay.
I just buy longer tools. Perfect. All right, you'll have to take this bolt out. This bolt here can be kind of a nuisance, so you do want to buy a tap to just chase the threads on it before you go put the new bolt supply by PAKRAX in there.
Okay.
Because it's a fresh bolt, that's an old bolt, and if the threads are messed up and you lock that bolt up going in,
okay,
you're gonna have a hard time getting that bolt out.
okay.
So always, side of the frame with existing holes, make sure you run a fresh tap through, clean up any kind of threads, any corrosion, rust, dirt, debris for a fresh bolt to go in there nice. 10 by 1.5 is the tap size on that.
All right.
All right, let's move all the rest of this. Top of your frame rail, vacuum, knock off dirt, dust, debris, because you're going to want to put, with the PAKRAX, it's going to have metal wafers, washers that go here.
Okay.
You don't want to pinch the dirt down on top of it, because
Right.
then the bolts will come loose. So make sure the inside of your frame rail is free from all the mud adventures and dirt and rocks.
Sorry about all the imported dirt.
We're off-road here, so we know. So we're just going to clear the area. Once we get to drilling, well, you'll drill it, then you'll have to get all the rust or the metal shavings out and stuff too. So.
Sure. Okay. That way you don't have anything between the
Well,
wire.
and if you knock all that stuff out now when you're putting the sliders in, you have less chance to get dirt in your face.
That's fair.
So they have these frame caps, plastic frame caps that you'll have. Some of them already been removed because this Tacoma's had them, set a different set of sliders on. Remove all of them. It's an open frame. You don't need the frame caps.
Okay.
Here on the end, you'll see this goop. Just pull it out. It allows you to get your bolts in there easier. It's not going to affect anything, but it allows you to get the bolts in there lined up better. But to remove the frame caps, just take a flathead screwdriver of your choice. You can just, that's a tough cap. There we go. Take out the frame caps. You don't have to remove the stickers, just frame cap, frame cap, frame cap. Any plastic frame caps. You don't have to remove any of the brake line hardware, just any flat caps.
All right.
Inside the frame. Same thing, you want to remove all the plastic clips, then you have to take this cover off. So that side. Then you have to take out this 10, this 12, and that 12, and remove this out of the way to install the sliders. We're going to reinstall this in a little different configuration.
Okay.
So that it all goes back in the same area. But that's it. Clean any of the mall dust off, which you can.
Mall dust. This guy.
Yeah.
A lot of dust for mall.
Yeah. In your case, garage dust. She only sees the garage and the trails. Same thing again with this one's a 10 by 1.5 thread. You'll find a tap and you'll want to rethread, even if you just buy the single tap, little lube on the tap, and just make sure that the hole's clean and clear so when you put the new bolts through, they don't start cross-threading on you and become an issue where you can't tighten the bolt and it breaks off, because then it's real fun to do. All right, we're ready to hang sliders. We've got this really nice hardware pack from PAKRAX that's actually labeled out to where the bolts are supposed to go. So these are all your slider main bolts. Then you have these two are that cross members, that's the 10 by 1.5. This is the driver's side behind the brake, what does he call it? The brake module, the one with the two bolts on the driver's side of the frame that we remove. Okay. It's a shorter bolt in a certain orientation so that you can still put the computer back. You don't have a bolt stab in the back of that. These are all the front cross member and up under lower, and these are the lower cross member mount bolts. Okay. So pretty easy to understand. These are for the inside frame that goes all the way to the front cross member. I find that giving this guy a slight bend allows you to help line it up in the hole real quick. So I'll take you over to the vise, I'll show you what I do a little bit. You don't have to bend it much. Hold on an inch vise. Just give it a slight bend, probably enough that when it's in the frame rail, you can get your fingers behind it to hold it in place, and then you know this will be flat against the frame.
Gotcha.
So that helps my install. So,
okay.
Tech tip. You'll notice that the alignment on the frame, got the two vertical notches, will go to these parts here. So the orientation layout of the hardware is bolts, washer, through the slider, through the frame, inside frame plate, and locking nut on the inside on that guy. So you know how to lay your hardware out. You have three side ones, one upper, one lower with the lower plate. This is the one that goes behind the fuel pump module that's a little shorter so that you don't have to modify that in any way. And then these ones go on the inside of the frame to that. Then you have your lower hardware with the two holes that you'll have to drill, and then the new lower bolts that come to the factory cross member. So yeah. Yeah, just like.
Cool. I like how you kept your hardware organized.
It's easier that way for me.
Exactly what to grab and where to grab.
Which bolts? All right. So, got our slider. Assistance with somebody or two floor jacks. Keep it stable. And what I do is I'll start with. So you have your fuel pump one. One goes back here. So these are your hole locations for the sliders. Fuel pump slide, and the two in the back. So what I'll do is I'll start with the fuel pump one on this one, with the shorter one, and the back one here to help me just kind of hold it.
Okay. That
so,
basically just gets it, at least pulls it up?
Yeah, at least gets it held in place. You line up all the bolts, then you get it in place, and then tighten everything.
All right.
You don't want to tighten it until it's all in there.
All right.
So that guy goes through that. Slider goes up. Yeah, I got a lift arm I got to get around here. So fall through. Plate behind the brake lines. And start your nut loosely. Then you come over to your fuel pump, which see where your fuel pump bolt goes through. And you have your plate and the brake line. And once this gets tightened, it does get into the locking portion of it. So,
okay.
oh, there we go. Working blindly.
Some grinding from some dirt.
So then the sliders
At least can kind of hold itself up a little
it's
bit.
loose enough that you can get all the stuff in there. So then you can move along to this front spot here. So you have this frame slot there. And how I normally do that, I don't put that in as I'm getting the slider in because then you hit your bolt.
Okay.
You take one of the longer bolts that has the shoulder. All the regular ones are threaded all the way down to the washer. So you know that this bolt will go here.
Okay.
So you basically, you'll take the frame plate. You'll start it. And you can see why I do this after the slider's on the truck, just because you'll hit a bunch of stuff. But it's notched where you can get it up in the hole. You rotate the T over. So you can now see that it's T-slotted through here.
Right.
And then as you tighten it, it'll pinch down. But you can reach your finger through here and kind of hold.
Kind of hold it and then turn
Kind of hold it to get it snug.
Right. Okay.
The side bolt here. Again, you want one of your longer hardwares where you can see the shoulder with no threads. Will go in the hole.
Okay.
You'll take one of these long provided piece of hardware. I'll use a flashlight hole lineup.
Okay.
On the back side out here, you'll see it better, what I'm trying to show. You see where the hole lines up.
Right.
So, let me get my bar.
So you're just using that to feed it down.
I can see where my threaded hole is there. Slider's got to go down
Sorry.
a little. The sliders go down a little bit. So you can see now through the hole on the outside, if you want to zoom in on that, I can see where the hole's lined up.
Right. Right there, up in this corner.
Yep, right, real easy. So that's when I'll start my... It's only because you're watching is it hard.
Of
See,
course.
yeah,
So you're holding it.
if you go to a commercial break right now, it probably will have it done.
A few moments later.
Aha, there we go.
Probably got it.
So there we go. Got that girl started. Not tight. Hardware loose. And then we have, and everything that the bolt goes through on the sliders is the size of the bolt itself. So you can
Gotcha.
see through there.
Okay.
We're gonna use this Toyota hardware.
Toyota.
Well, I just like the hardware a little better. To align the sliders
Okay.
so that these two are perfect inside these outer spots here,
Okay.
as you can see.
As far as alignment.
Yeah, alignment. These pins here, these frame rivets are pretty much aligned center in those two.
Okay.
Right there, which will line up the two holes for your fuel pump module. This is centered on there. That's centered in there. Everything just fits so well on these
Okay.
things.
It's a good pro tip to center off this.
Yep, center off that.
Okay.
Now what I do is I get it up and level at the bottom of the frame, and I slowly tighten this one to help hold it up,
Okay.
and then I draw the sides in. So this will pull your slider all the way up.
Okay.
The sides will pull it flat against the frame, then you know you're on the frame
Kind of
perfect.
leveled out. Okay.
Exactly. And I don't have to crank this bottom one just yet. Just enough it kind of holds it up,
Just kinda-
and then we'll tighten the side stuff. And when you tighten these washers down, it's good to try I'm doing 90 with the frame like so. That's it. It's tight.
Any particular torque spec, or you just tighten them up?
I'd have to confirm. Well, there's a torque spec, and I'd have to confirm. I don't know if there's an official torque spec, but usually get the bolt to 0. And being that this is like a 10 mil bolt,
Right. You're not gonna
probably 30, being a grade 8, 30 foot-pounds of torque, just being the size bolt that it is.
Okay.
I mean, you can obviously look up whatever, this is a 5/16 hardware, or what the torque spec should be.
So just snug it up.
Or tighten it like I am.
Just tighten.
I mean, the last slider didn't even need to be tightened. It just hung itself on the frame, so, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So now we're going to snug the ones up in the front.
So in the front ones, you tighten this one last because you want this to snug up to the frame, which might lift the front slider a little bit.
Okay.
Once you get it to tight, you see it zero out on the frame.
Yeah,
And I was holding that inner support so that it was 90 degrees in the hole. We inserted it this way, let it rotate. Obviously it's this direction, and then we had it sandwiched against the frame. Sandwich the pitch, tighten there, and then this one here you can tighten because the bar is holding itself on the inside of the frame. They can go back into its factory location once I rebend that guy back. And the last set of sliders, it said just bend it. Yeah, okay. And then you'll see that it doesn't interfere with the bolt behind it. Gotta find an extra nut because that one went bye-bye.
Send it to the grave.
Same orientation, bolt, plate,
So we're on the
passenger side
now.
bolt, plate, nut. And these are the three without the taller shoulders, so
Okay.
you'll see that. Make sure they're not the ones with the shoulders.
Okay.
There.
Through there.
This one through here.
Back.
Nuts on the back side.
Nuts on the back side. Same thing on the very back.
Then we have our front plate that we do after the slider's up in place.
Right. So you slide that through and then you rotate it.
Yeah, so you get it in the flat spot. I mean, you can try and put this on before. I just found it's always easier to overline up. So
Right.
you got it like so. So then you can get that. See how it goes
Right.
up in the hole. And then, I don't know if you can get it in there. You're shining a little light or whatever. You rotate,
Okay.
pull it down.
Okay.
You can see the hardware. You take it
Yep.
better, and then you get it to rotate around to where it's a T.
So it's gonna be across.
This is going to be running
Yep.
horizontally.
Front to back.
Finger the hole. Kind of snugger a little bit so it doesn't really move.
Go anywhere.
Yeah. Then you take your long bar,
The long bar, which we have a slight bend in.
the light for assistance so you can see the hole. See where you're lighting her up at.
Get it lined up with that.
Slider has to come down a little bit more. There we go. See, much easier on this side.
Yeah, that's
There.
nice.
Torque, 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 torque. And our side bolts.
Side bolt. Front one and the back one.
Snug the bottom one, remember?
Right.
Where you see that the slider will,
Start snugging up.
well, it goes zero gap with the
Zero gap.
bottom.
Zero gap here.
And you can see on the back here, we're tightening zero gap.
Okay.
And then you tighten the top one.
So
That way you know it's snug up.
So you kind of want to snug this one up on the bottom, get that zero gap, and then come
So
back
that
to
you
the
know
top.
that the slider's sitting
perfectly
on its
right.
corner, yeah. Otherwise you have a big gap here, and then what happens with the gap is when you flex it, it gets loose and bolts come loose, and then yeah.
Not having a good day.
It's just not a properly tightened slider.
Not for
It's too.
exactly.
Click, 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 and then snug the bottom. Now we have to put our side plate back on, but you can see that one of the holes is now covered. So you'll unpin this plastic clip, pinch it from the inside, needle nose pliers. This is just a junction from the body harness to the frame harness. No computers. Just a bracket that holds it. You still want to protect it, so wiggle, wiggle. Just unclip just this one here,
Okay.
where there. That allows you to grab the 8x125 or 12 millimeter bolts. You slide it down. The other one won't line up over there. Slide it down to this guy. You tighten that guy back into place with the 1 bolt. Then you can take your cover and everything will still fit. So
Okay.
you push the harness inside of it there
Okay.
when you go to put the cover on.
Okay.
Shoot. Push it won't cooperate. If they haven't sped up. Torque, torque. And then you still have
Good protection.
mounted, it's solid. Even though there's only 1 bolt, it's
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. It's not rubbing the slider. It's not creaking. It's not popping. The wire harness is still protected. It's good to go.
Cool.
Now let's drill some bottoms.
All right.
Drilling some bottoms. I have this piece of hardware. We'll actually lay the hardware back out from the shenanigans. We only have to drill 4 holes.
Okay. What drill bit do you suggest to use? What processor?
Sharp metal bits. Step bits are great because they don't burn out as fast on these hardened frames. But you can tend to go too big too quickly.
Okay.
So I always just start with a pilot hole and I always just drill to the size of the bolt. That way the hole's not too big for the slider to walk around. It's still inside the frame.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to my drill bit drawer assortment of fun.
What is that? Just for a reference for people?
It's ground off.
Oh, it's ground
It's
off.
proprietary information.
Gotcha.
I think it's a 3/8. Because these are 5/16 bolts or 3/8. These are 5/16, I think. 3/8 will probably be perfect. We'll try a 3/8 first, but
Okay.
start with a small pilot hole, obviously.
All right.
Let me grab some safety glasses because this thing does throw metal. Be careful when you're drilling not to hit brake lines and such, but then you test the fitment of the bolts. It's like 3/8 is the winner.
3/8. All right.
3/8
3/8
all.
drill bit.
Woo. Oh yeah.
So 2 on each side, right?
2 on each side, yep. You don't have to drill these, but to be true sliders, drill them. Woo. Applying pressure also helps. Some people put a pole jack or a floor jack and press on it. It helps, and no cutting oil needed. Just send it. Passengers,
I'm
right?
sorry, passenger side. And so we just drill the 2 holes. That's it. Put your hardware up
Plate.
top.
Make sure there's no metal bits, dirt,
bits up
debris.
there.
It's not going to tighten properly if you have all that stuff between that sandwich plate and the frame. 2 per side,
2
3/8
side,
bolts.
1 in the front, 1 in the very back.
Same on the driver's side.
Easy peasy. Front, 1 in the very back.
I think the best shenanigans is like, torque to spec. They're like, what are the torque specs? And you just don't ever answer them.
Just the torque spec is full send.
Wait, it's called a tight but not broken. Right? Tighten the bolt but not broken.
Not a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah. Per manufacturer spec. And you're like, what does that mean? It means take a coffee break and go research it for 3 hours and realize that just tighten it. Torque to spec, which means not loose.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard.